Hello, everyone. I hope you're having a wonderful weekend and are ready to receive today's blessing and healing for your heart, your soul, and your mind. Welcome to Health and Heard, a space where stories are embraced, voices are valued, and hearts feel at home. I am your host, Gabe Wayo. If you didn't know me, nice to meet you. And well, welcome or welcome back. This podcast is supposed to be used as a tool to help us navigate life in a more open and optimistic mindset, understanding not only our feelings but also others. Today, we will be continuing with the third episode, which is Seasons of Life, embracing the ups and downs and transitions of life. I used to believe life should be linear and always have everything figured out, constantly moving forward, always knowing what was next. But I have learned that life moves in seasons. Some are bright and full of growth, while others feel quiet, uncertain, and just still. I will be comparing life to nature seasons. We have spring, summer, fall, and winter. And each season has a purpose. It serves a purpose in the planet, in the world, and also in our own lives. What do we have to do in order to survive them? Because each one has its beauty, but also it has its downfall. Some people don't like the winter. I personally am not a winter girly. I feel like during the winter, I feel so slow and unmotivated. But at the same time, I feel like life is coming back slowly. The same way spring might feel alive, growth, and full of opportunities, but also it's the pruning season where you're going to start cutting or removing everything that no longer serves you in your life, your relationships, friendships, jobs, anything that it no longer aligns with the person you are going to become. Then we have summer. Joy, abundance, feeling fully alive and present. But it's also the dry season, the heat season, the evaporation season, where you're going to start looking or trying to alleviate your thirst in the wrong places. And then we have the fall season, where you're trying to shift your life, you're trying to let go of things, but also you feel stuck and you don't know where to start, or you're scared of the new beginnings or the change. And then we have the winter, where you feel the cold, you feel the stillness, the loneliness, feeling lost and learning patience. And you need to learn how to navigate the cold as well, because it comes in so many different ways. Some of them are longer or shorter. There's economic winter, there's social winter, or personal winter. Each one it's different every single year, but they all feel the same. You feel stuck, you feel scared, you feel lonely, but it also has its beauty on it, because that's where internal growth is happening. Even though you see the trees with no leaves or you do not see the fruit growing, there's still life inside of it. There's still life inside of us. We are learning healing and growth from the inside in order to show externally. And we are constantly wishing for a better or easier life. But in reality, we should be focusing on ourselves and becoming better for ourselves in order to overcome the seasons and know how to navigate each one of them. Because like I said, even in the spring, when you start to feel alive, there's the pruning, and you're going to struggle with that, because a lot of us do not want to get rid of the old habits, old friendships, or whatever you feel attached to, because it's difficult. And we already have talked about the art of letting go and how difficult it is, but it's also so necessary to let go of things that are holding us back. And I actually have a verse for you guys. It's 2 Corinthians 4 from the 16 all the way to the 18. It says, "So we do not lose heart through ourselves, is wasting away our inner self, is being renewed day by day. For this light momentary in affliction is preparing for us an eternal way of glory beyond all comprehension. As we look not to the things that are seen, but the things that aren't unseen. For the things that are seen are transcend, but the things that are unseen are eternal." Basically, we have to trust the process and trust God. And honestly, it's a difficult decision to make, because how can you trust something that you can't see, right? And especially if the only things that you are seeing are so negative and you do not see the good on anything that you're doing. So obviously you're going to be feeling stuck, uncertain, and scared, because that's where you're living in the moment. But you need to understand that each season is going to happen in our lives so many times, because the seasons come and go. And that's okay. You just need to learn how to navigate them, how to not live with them, but also rest on them. Because obviously You're not going to be walking out of your house on a swimsuit when it's winter. Yeah, sure, you can get from your house to the car, but other than that, I don't think you will survive. So it's okay to change with the season as well, because you cannot change the season, but you can change yourself. That's something that a lot of people struggle with. They struggle with change because they don't know how to navigate it. They don't know what to expect. Or maybe they do, but they're just afraid of the failing. Just like nature, we cannot rush through the season. We need to honor each one, because you wouldn't expect a tree to bloom during the winter. So why do we pressure ourselves in being productive or thrive in a season where it's supposed to be of rest or healing? That only leads us to burnt out. A lot of people do not know what burnt out is, and that includes myself. Well, included myself. A couple of years back, I was feeling so stuck, unmotivated, and surviving. You know, I was in a survival mode. I wouldn't say that I was depressed, because I did want it to feel productive and I did want it to thrive in that specific season, but I just couldn't. I felt stuck. I did have to go on Google and basically Google my symptoms. It was so funny because I mean, how would I even, I don't know. But yeah, the point is that that was my last and only resource, because I didn't know how to explain this to anybody. I was still living my life. I was still going out and doing all this fun stuff, but at the same time, I didn't feel comfortable. I didn't feel happy. I was not feeling myself. And I was basically struggling with the transition. You know, I was struggling with the transition. I was still trying to thrive and be productive in a season where I was supposed to be healing and growing and just settling down, trying to take it easy, because we always try to push ourselves so much that we get burnt out. And that's where I learned about burnt out. And it's not necessarily that you're depressed, it's just that you're overly worked. And this can be physically and mentally. So when you push yourself too much to the extent that you have no energy in yourself, and like I said, we cannot change the season, but we can change ourselves. And that's really difficult, because we already have talked about how difficult or challenging it is for us to change, because we hold so tightly to what feels familiar, even though it no longer serves us. And we already have talked about how we shouldn't let fear keep us stuck in a situation or a relationship or whatever the case might be. But it's difficult, once again, because we are afraid of the unknown, and not exactly of what's going to come in our lives. I think it's more how we are going to respond to it. But change is required to become who we want to be in life and where we want to be. And a lot of people think that change comes drastically, and that's not the case. Change doesn't happen overnight. You have to constantly adopt new habits, small ones, big ones, whatever works best for you, but you need to start incorporating them into your life in order to see the change, in order to become who you need to become and be where you need to be at. For example, I am going to speak about myself. I have always been a skinny person. I don't remember ever being overweight or being on a weight that I was happy with. Yes, of course, when I was a baby, I was a big baby. My mom told me that I was like a 9 or 10 pound baby, which, sorry, mom, rip to that kitty meow meow, because I don't know. My baby was 7.5, I believe, and that felt like crazy when I had him. But having a 9 or 10 pound baby, yeah, I don't know about that. But that's besides the point. The thing here is that I have always been skinny. And my skinny girlies or guys, you will understand me. Everybody thinks that you're sick, and everybody's telling you to go and get checked up because you probably have anemia, which that was never the case, thank God, of course. And I couldn't find nice clothes that would look nice on me. And I will always go thrifting or shopping at the kids section. You know what that means? I mean, yes, it was great for my pocket because I was not spending this crazy amount of money on jeans. But being a teenager with a super skinny body in this society, oh my Lord. Yeah, no, that was crazy. It was chaotic, okay? I would see these beautiful young ladies with their bodies full of me, and I was just there standing like a skinny spaghetti noodle. That was one of my biggest insecurities when I was younger. And honestly, thinking about it was not that bad. It's so funny because that's something that we all go through. We all go through these life seasons, like I said, and in the moment it feels like we're going to die basically. And I was always so petty of myself, saying, "Oh my God, I'm so skinny, and I just want to have this kind of body and blah blah blah." Until one day I stopped pitying myself and I was like, you know what, Gabby, you want the bootylicious? I was like, yes. So I decided to make a change in my life and I started adopting new habits. And let me tell you that up to this day, I'm still working on that, okay? Um, Protein. Yes, I used to struggle with protein, eating protein so much for so many reasons. I don't know, something about eating meat didn't sit well with me. It made me gag, and the smell of it, or just the whole entire process of cooking it, or even the aftertaste I would get from it. Everything about protein was just not sitting well with me. And then I realized that I really didn't consume protein. And that's what my body needed, okay? That's what my body needs. And as soon as I realized that I needed to do a couple of changes in my life in order to have the body that I wanted, I started building new habits. I will cook more protein, I will eat more protein, and every single day I will try to consume some sort of protein. And the change was not drastic. It's not like one day I woke up and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna start eating protein every single day and 3 times a day. No. I started slowly until up to this day, I'm still eating, I'm still eating good, healthy with protein. And right now it's where I feel my best. Honestly, I feel amazing. I look at myself in the mirror and I'm like, okay, I see the change. I see how those small changes or not too drastic changes and small habits that I started incorporating in my life made a big change in my physical and my mental health. And that's how life is every single time. It doesn't matter how bad the circumstances may be, you need to grab the fear. Well, I don't know if you can grab it, but like grab the fear, because the fear is inside of us. It's inside of our head. We just overthink everything, and that's what limits us from having success. The fear, it's our enemy, and we need to grab it and be like, ta 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 ta. You know what? No more. It's like everything, even on roller coasters. Me personally, I have never liked roller coasters. I will see little kids getting on that. I'm like, bro, you're crazy. But you know what? Let me try it. And only because of pure pressure of myself and also my husband. He was like, come on, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. Just do it. Just do it. I'm like, no, 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 no. Until one day I was like, you know what? Okay, let me grab my fear and be like, not today, fear. Let's see what's all this hype about. So I got on the roller coaster. As soon as I sat down and I got locked in, I was regretting it. And that's the stage of regret. You're afraid, you're confused, and you just want to get out. You're like, you know what? Let me go back to my old habits of being a quizzy. But there's no way back. There's no way back because I decided to. Because I could have screamed, I could have said, hey, you know what? Like, never mind. Please take me out. But I didn't. I was like, you know what? Let me bite my tongue and keep going, keep going, keep going. So I did. And I remember that as soon as I heard the clicking noise, like that, tick, 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 I was like, okay, yes, I am beep. And I just could feel how high we were going. I opened my eyes and I saw the sky. I was looking at the sky. I was like, wow, it looks so beautiful. And out of nowhere, I felt the drop. That feeling in my stomach, I will never forget that feeling in my stomach. It was the most scariest, but at the same time, the adrenaline, I guess, felt amazing. It was so, I don't know, my body felt so light. I felt so light. My fears, I couldn't even remember what I was afraid of because it felt so good. The breeze in my face, my hair's flying all over the place. And when I opened my eyes, the ride was already done. It wasn't even that bad. That was the first time that I realized that everything in life, it's not that bad. Something that I have realized, that fear doesn't exist It doesn't exist. It's all in our heads, it's all in our minds, and it all began with our parents. Just look at all these little kids. They don't care if it's high, they don't care if they can bump their heads on the floor. They are on top of, I don't know, the pendant lights. They're just swinging on the pendant lights in the kitchen, and they're not afraid of falling because they do not know about fear. And fear, it's a spirit. It's a bad spirit. It's a demon. I will call it a demon. That it's implanted in our hearts, in our heads, in our minds, and that limits us from going places. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. There's a difference between fear and respect. We have to have respect for so many things, because if we don't, we can also fail. Like I said, little kids swinging on pendant lights with all the fear of falling and cracking their head open because they don't know what fear is until our parents tells us, watch out, you're gonna fall off and you're gonna crack open your head and blood is gonna come out. And they start describing so many bad and terrible things that can happen to us. People, society, and our parents use fear as a way of control, having control possession of us. You might do this, and if you do, I suggest you to change that, because you're limiting your kids from doing great things. Maybe you're trying to discipline them, but that's not the way. The way of fear is not the right way. Let's say if you have your kid inside your bathroom and you want them to get out, what do? What's the first thing that you do? And you probably know this. It probably came up to your mind right away. And if you don't know and you're confused, you turn off the lights off. And what do? You scare them by telling them that there's the spooky man or the cucuy or whatever the heck you use to scare them. And what does that child do? It comes running, storming out of the restroom, scared because now you scare them. And only because you wanted them to get out of the bathroom. And that was the way of you to control their actions, their behavior. But in reality, you're just damaging that kid, honestly. And there's so many examples of that. And that's what our parents did to us. They put fear in ourselves, in our minds, in our hearts. And then when we enter the society world, that's where now society brings their fears. It could be at school, it could be your work job, it could be a social event, even at church. A lot of people fear being themselves at church because they are afraid of what they're going to say or how they're going to take it, or I don't know, how people are going to perceive you, basically. So it's the same thing, you know, on social media, everybody's so afraid of posting something because they're afraid of getting canceled. Especially nowadays, people claim that everybody should be free of believing and doing whatever the heck. But when it comes to the time, and it doesn't have to be necessarily bad, just different mindset, different lifestyle, music, or I don't know, even the way you dress up, people get upset about it and try to bring you down. We are always afraid of anything and everything. Most of the time, we're afraid of change because everybody around us is the same. They all think the same. They all dress the same. They all listen to the same music. They all do the same things. And when it comes to you, you want to make a change for yourself, or because you don't align with whatever everybody else is doing, you are afraid of how people are going to receive you, if they're even going to receive you. And I understand change will always be difficult. It will be challenging. It will be scary. But facing your fears is actually fun. And you will realize that it wasn't that bad. It was all in your head. It's like with your parents. I don't know if you were afraid of your parents or you're still afraid of your parents. And if you are up to this day, yeah, no, we got to change that, because there's a difference between being afraid of our parents and having respect for them. So you can have so much respect for your parents or anybody, but that doesn't mean that you have to fear them, because they're not above us and we are not above them. We are equally, we are in the same level. I would take it back to when I was a child. I was so afraid of my mom like crazy. You have no idea, because I thought that respect and fear were the same thing, and fearing her, it was a way of showing her respect. Which now that I'm grown, I have understood that that's not the case. Until one day I sit down with my mom and I was so afraid of telling her that I loved her and respect her, but I didn't want to feel below her. I didn't want to feel like she had to be stepping all over me in order for me to show her respect. I'm so glad that I communicated that with her, because She grabbed my hands. I was so sweaty. She grabbed my hands and then she hugged me and she apologized, which I never thought because I mean, your parents apologizing, it's just insane. You know, it's crazy to think, but she did. And she hugged me and she was like, my intentions were never for you to fear me, but more because I wanted to show you the right path, basically. It was a beautiful moment. I mean, we talked about so many things, things that we only know and we both have moved past it. But the fact that even though years have passed by, I'm already 26. Last time I said I was 26, 27, but I'm actually 26. She has grown so much as a person, and so did I, that we have learned that fear doesn't mean respect. And that's something that I have learned. She has learned. And it's so beautiful because now I incorporate that in my personal life. I do not show my kid fear at all. My kid doesn't fear nothing, literally. And I'm so happy for him because I don't want him to grow up and fearing people or speaking up for himself or even the dark. Like, that's not okay. I hope that he continues that way. I know that when he gets older, people are going to try to scare him of things, situations, but I will always be there to give him that assurance that there's nothing to be afraid of. And even if he's not in a good season in life, there's always beauty on it. It doesn't matter if it's the winter, the summer, the fall, the spring. They all have its ups and downs, and we just need to know how to navigate each one. And if you ever find yourself afraid of change, many times we need to realize that it's not that we are afraid of what's to come or what we're going to face, but mostly the version that we are now. And of course, we project that into our future. And it doesn't have to be like that because our future, it's not yet here. So we have the chance to change it up. We can be rebirth. We already talked about how we can also be rebirth and be the person who other people no longer recognizes. It doesn't matter if they believe in your change or not. It's all about you. You're not doing this because of other people. And if you find yourself trying to change or make changes in your life to prove yourself to others, it could be a way to make the decision, the step. But in the long run, if you're not doing it for yourself, you're just going to fall into the old patterns and the old habits because you're just trying to prove yourself, and proving yourself to other people, it's worthless, honestly. We have already talked about the pressure of being okay, how society is always trying to pressure us into believing that we need to have everything figured out. But sometimes we're just in a season of figuring out ourselves, and that's okay. It doesn't matter what society has to do or say, honestly, because at the end of the day, the world spins and, well, lifetime is ticking, it's ticking, it's moving, and it's not stopping for you, for me, or anybody. Don't waste your time, your life on what people are going to think or believe about you, because one day you're here and the next day, who knows? It's like the other day I saw TikTok and it made me kind of tear up. It said something around the lines of you imagining yourself being 50 years old and having the chance to go back on time to the day where you were, I don't know, maybe in your 20s with your baby, and getting the chance of smelling that baby again, and just seeing his or her little hands again, and just basically reliving that moment, a moment that you took for granted only because you were too caught up on something that you were dealing in the moment, that it didn't let you fully appreciate that moment. And now you're just trying to go back, but it's too late because you're already 50 years old and time doesn't go back, and you just get older every single day, and you're living your life for other people. It sucks. And don't get me wrong, there will be times where people will make comments and say things about you that it might hurt your feelings or it might trigger something about you. But we have also talked about the childhood healing and all that, how our childhood can affect our present and who we are now, and why we get triggered by certain situations or conversations with people. It's just that we need healing, healing in ourselves in order for us to not feel the way we feel. We need to understand that people, including ourselves, sometimes we get caught up thinking or saying things that we shouldn't, making comments that we shouldn't, because we can also be toxic in someone else's life. And we need to check ourselves up and be like, you're not that person. You're not that girl. You're not that guy. So as soon as you check yourself up, you need to make those little changes and become a better person, because we do not have to be negative energy on nobody's life, because there's something going on that is making you project yourself. And we need to cancel those demons. We need to be like, te reprendo en el nombre de Jesús, amen, amen, amen. Oh, wait, let me find that TikTok. I need to find it. As soon as you find yourself being a negative energy in someone else's life, you need to check yourself up and be like,
get out. Get the hell out of my house. In Jesus' name I pray. I rebuke it in the name of the Lord.
that's the same way you have to be with yourself sometimes. When you have those negative spirits attached to you sometimes, or not even attached to you, they're just there speaking, inside your ear, in your mind, in your head, you're going to be in the state of survival. And how would you know that you're in a survival mode? Simply, you're going to see everything negatively. You're going to feel like everything's against you. You're going to feel down. You're going to be burnt out, maybe depressed. You're going to neglect basic self-care. I don't know, maybe showering. Even some people use caffeine as a source of energy, which is not great. You might also find yourself on the weekends on your bed rotting, or on the couch like a potato sack, or potato sack, yeah, right, potato sack, yeah, I don't know, but yeah, basically with no energies and constantly procrastinating. That was one of my big ones. I used to procrastinate because I felt stuck. I didn't feel with the energy, with the motivation. I already talked about this, but yes, procrastinating is your enemy as well, because it limits you from having success as well. So what do we have to do with each season? We have to embrace them. We have to know how to navigate them and find peace with the process. For example, if you're in a season of growth, which is spring or summer, embrace the new opportunities. Don't be afraid of taking the step and making that change to get better things, better opportunities. But also do not be afraid of the step backs, because it might happen. It's okay. Not everything in life is going to be perfect, or things not always going to turn out how we expect. What's out of our hands, we can't control. What's in our hands, we can't control. So control your emotions, your thoughts, your beliefs, your mouth, your actions, your behavior, anything that it's within us, we need to control it. We gotta know how to live the present and stop worrying about the future. What's gonna happen is gonna happen. And what we want to happen, we need to work for it. But we cannot sit here and wait for life to happen to us. We need to look for that life as well. Whenever life is good, just let it be good. A lot of people struggle with rushing to the next worry instead of enjoying the good moments of life, or they cannot believe, oh my God, like this is happening to me. What's next? Like, what's gonna happen next? What bad thing is gonna happen? Because this is too good to believe. Stop worrying about that and just enjoy it, embrace it, grasp it, love it, hug it, nugget. If you're in a season of transition, aka the fall, you need to learn how to let go of things, places, people, situations, and old versions of yourselves, because once you let things go, new beginnings come. Not every shift is meant to break you. Some of them are meant to shape you. If you're in a season of stillness, aka the winter, instead of worrying, use the time to reflect on nature, yourself, and just trust the process. Even in the quiet seasons, life is still moving and you're still growing. Remember, we're like trees. From the outside, it might seem dead, but from the inside, there's still life in it. So you gotta speak kindly to yourself, just like plants. Have you ever heard of plants? Well, people saying that you need to speak to your plants in order for them to grow. They need love as well, Same here. You got to see yourself as a little plant or a little tree or big tree, whatever. But the thing here is that you need to take care of yourself like a plant. Water yourself. Speak kindly to yourself. Take yourself out to the sun so it can get that vitamin D. And just wait patiently until your leaves start growing again and you start to see the fruit. Do not try to rush it, because when you rush it, what happens when you pour a lot of water to your plant only because you want it to grow fast? The plant is going to die. The roots are going to start, rotting. Do not rush yourself into any process because you're just going to prolong the pain, and the whole process is going to be so miserable that you're going to end up destroying yourself. And destroying yourself and taking yourself out of that hole is going to be even more difficult than just waiting patiently on that stillness that you're feeling right now. It's way better to be here than down there. So just be patient, trust the process, trust God, have faith. I know that having faith it's so difficult, but like I said, we have to be by faith and not what we see. Each season in life is going to teach you something. I'm gonna tell you guys a little story. When I was younger, my mom was really strict, and I couldn't go out, or I couldn't have a boyfriend, or even not friends. I'm not gonna say I couldn't have friends, but she would always tell me like, not everybody's your friend, not everybody's your friend, which it was true, you know. So that limited me from having a lot of social interaction, let's say. So the first time that my aunt, that she passed away, so rest in peace, my tia, she took me to a big city where she lived at. And that was the first time that I actually interacted with a lot of people, including this one boy. So I really thought that this guy was, I don't know, perfect in my eyes. He was not, but in my eyes, he was perfect. You know, he was basically my first love, or my first young love. I don't even know what to call it, honestly. He confessed his love for me and everything. So the thing here is that I never had a boyfriend. He was never my boyfriend. We were never dating. We never dated, but he will still tell me that I was like wifey material. And we were only like 14, 13 years old, bro. Keep in mind, we were never dating. We never dated. I was just in love with this kid, but we lived in two different cities. We couldn't even see each other. It was rarely when we did. The thing here is that I was so in love with this kid, and I swore that he was the man of my life, and I was going to marry him. And he wanted 5 kids, and I was like, yes, I'm gonna give you 5 kids. Ask me that now. No, I will not have 5 kids. Well, I don't think so. But that's besides the point. The thing here is that I was madly in love with this kid, and I was so loyal to him, to us. I don't even know what I was loyal to, because once again, I was not in a relationship with that guy, and we did not even have nothing going on. But I was so naive. I was so naive that I swore I was not gonna like nobody else but him, and I was going to be loyal to him even though we were nothing. And one day on Facebook, I saw that he posted a girl. It was so crazy. I remember that was my first heartbreak. I was devastated. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't live. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't do nothing without crying. I was crying hysterically in my room, and I was so crazy, but I even pulled my hair. I was like pulling my hair. I couldn't believe that he had done that to me. That was not the first time. This happened so many times, and every single time I felt like my world was ending. Clearly, I did not marry that man. Clearly, my life didn't end when I was 13, because now here I am with a husband, which he's amazing. My husband is the best of the best, and not because he's my husband, he really is. I have the most amazing child. I am blessed to have them. That's so crazy, you know, because in the moment I felt like my life had ended. And that was not the first time that happened. Even at school, when, I don't know, I didn't pass that exam, and I felt like my life had ended in that situation. And then when I had this friendship with this girl that I really loved like a sister, and something happened, and yeah, like my life ended because I no longer had her in my life. But no, I mean, life moves in seasons, like I said, and I let go of so many things, people, places, and even versions of myself. And yeah, I mean, I could go on and on and on and on about this topic, because I'm trying to break it down and go deeply on each one of them, but they all tie together because it's a series of 5 different episodes. We already covered letting go, the art of letting go, childhood traumas and how we heal from them, and how that shapes us into who we are now, or we were. And today, well, the seasons of life. I'm so sorry because I couldn't post last week, but hey, here we are today, and I am so happy and blessed to have you guys once again here. And I hope you learned something new today, or at least leave with a positive mindset. Thank you so much for watching. God bless you. I love you so much, and I'll see you guys until next time.